to the doctor and healthy all my life, no medications or anything.
Nothing.
Next thing you know, metformin, lisinopril, all the stuff you start with, you know.
Do you think type 2 diabetes, is that even a real thing? I mean, what's type 1?
I guess type 1, it can be like juvenile diabetes. You know, you can have that. I guess your body can't handle any of the sugar in it, that type of thing.
What does it do? So you eat a lifesaver?
Yeah, it could spike.
And what would happen? Your blood?
Yeah, it could go totally off the charts.
And then what happens?
You could, you know, if your blood sugar gets too high, you could go into a coma. So there are people.
So your body, when you have diabetes, your body doesn't process the sugar.
Yeah.
So you just stay away
from.
from.
Rid your body of all the sugar, and.
What about like ketchup? Doesn't it have sugar in it?
Has a lot of sugar in it. Yeah, and so you learn things in your diet. You know, we use either no ketchup or the no sugar added, which is different.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And you just learn to live with those differences. But normally, I think type 1, you're going to probably be on insulin. Your sugar has to be more regulated. It's going to go up and it's going to go down. Mine tend to just run high as a type 2, and that's what I battle.
Maybe your body just likes high sugar.
Yeah, you know.
Why even treat it?
Yeah, well, if you don't keep it under control, blindness with diabetes, things of that nature, kidney failure can be a big problem. I take one medication that really is a blood pressure medication, but I don't take it to control my blood pressure. I take it really to kind of protect your kidneys from what the other drugs may do to it, you know.
But you look in good shape.
Well, I lost a lot of weight when I found out I was a diabetic, changed a lot of eating habits. I went from 36 waist down to 32s, you know, after, you know, just changing my diet a little bit. Of course, as the years went on, I've cheated, and, you know, I need to get back to.
What about bread? Can you eat bread?
Oh, no. Certain breads, you know, wheat and certain things of that nature, you have to really watch it. Just about everything you eat turns to sugar.
Yeah.
All the things I love.
Yeah.
Starches, you know, pasta, potatoes, bread, all that stuff just turns to sugar.
Did you have more energy now?
I do have a little bit more energy, yeah.
Would exercise eliminate any medications?
Exercise can go a long way, and especially if, you know, as my doctor tells me, you know, 10 minutes of walking can change things drastically. And if you can do that early on, you can probably, with diet and exercise, you can probably come off, as a type 2, you can probably come off of a lot of the medication, which one of the popular ones is metformin, you know.
So it's not insulin?
It's not insulin. And hopefully I don't have to go that route.
Yeah.
I hope to stay at least.
I'd say that you'll be at my funeral.
I don't know.
If COVID's not around.
And, you know, that's, I'm a little bit dressed up today, not as casual as I probably would have been, because I'm headed to a friend that we lost.
Is that right?
Yeah, this week due to COVID.
Is that right?
Yeah. I don't know if you knew Gerald Kirkendall, who owned
I know Alex.
bus company.
Yeah, is that Alex's dad?
Yeah, and just you know, went in the hospital, never recovered. And it just seems like I could be at a funeral just about every time I turn around with COVID. It's amazing.
What's Alex do now?
I'm not sure. I don't know
I always
him all
really
that.
liked him.
Yeah, I don't know
He
him
was a
all
good
that
guy.
well. Yeah,
He is a good guy.
and I'm trying to think of Gerald's charter and tour bus.
Something like that. And I think Alex started driving the tour bus.
Yeah, he had a number of them. And
Yeah.
he did very well. We used him through church and different organizations all the time.
He used to do those junkets to Biloxi and
Yeah.
the casinos and stuff.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he did a lot of private charters for us with my wife.
How'd you know him? Just through
went
that?
to church. Yeah, went to church. We went out to Mount Olive Church of God with Gerald and Daphne. and got to know him then, and just just fell in love with them. Great people, but unfortunately they're having his service tonight. Yeah, sad. It's a new world we're in.
It's a new world.
It is.
Did you just get back from Florida?
I did. Yeah. Flew back in Saturday.
How long was you gone?
We went down. We got there early Monday morning. Yeah, flew out late Sunday and got in early Monday morning.
You're not a big vacation guy, are you?
Not a big vacation guy. I try to find time to get away. I think everybody needs to, have a break. And I fell water skiing around the 4th of July, injured my left shoulder, come to find out a 50% tendon tear. So I'm having surgery next Friday, or this Friday. And I was like, we better kind of get away. And thankfully my family has a condo on the beach in Boca Raton. So I was like, we better kind of get away, because...
How long a flight is that?
We went from, we flew out of Chattanooga to Atlanta, which is a short hop, probably 30 minutes flight time. But then from Atlanta to Palm Beach, probably, that's probably an hour and 20-something minutes flight time, maybe. Yeah, we flew in.
And then where you had to drive to?
Yeah, get a rental car and head over to the...
Was there a lot of people on the beach?
There wasn't a lot of people on the beach. It wasn't real crowded. And of course, that's kind of a ownership area, so it's somewhat private. So, yeah.
It's good to get out of town, isn't it?
It's good to get out of town.
Does it matter if it's in Florida, or could it just be 45 minutes away?
Yeah, I mean, I love to go, up to Gatlinburg, the mountains, the beach, see different things. Seems like as I get older, I love more historical sites.
Why is that?
I don't know. I guess you just appreciate it a little bit more,
Or I wonder if it's sort of trying to get an understanding by what happened in the past to answer our questions today, maybe.
Yeah, to understand where we're at today.
And think, okay, they had this too, or they... Yeah, I remember one weekend, I went to Athens and stayed at a motel.
The friendly city?
Yeah, the friendly city.
Yeah.
It was okay. It got away, sat by the pool, and came back the next day. It got away.
Yeah, just sometimes you just got to get out there. And I was actually born in Athens.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Old Forey Hospital. Yeah,
Were you from Athens, or?
I was born in Athens, but when I was a kid, my parents moved here. My dad was from Athens. My mother was from Riceville, in McMinn County.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a dairy farmer up there.
Was she from East Annalee? Is East Annalee? It's close to, is Estonale?
Yeah, East Annalee over there. Yeah, kind of across the way.
Where was she from? Whereabouts?
Right there in that Riceville area, the Mouse Creek, I think they call it area. My grandfather, a couple 100 acres there, was a dairy farmer.
Does he still have it?
They actually just sold it.
Is
Their
that right?
part, my grandmother still lives on the farm, 94 years old, by herself.
94 years old.
Yeah, and so they split it up, among my mother's the oldest of 3 girls. And so they split it up years ago. My mom and stepfather had about 48 acres. Recently sold it and built a house here in Cleveland, moved to Cleveland. So getting closer to the kids.
Let's see, now we graduated the same year.
We
right?
did.
84?
Yeah, 84. Yeah, good year, wasn't it?
It was a good year. Were you there at Bradley the whole 4 years?
I was. Yeah, I moved away to South Carolina and Oneida, Tennessee, because of my stepfather's work. And then he had a chance to go and be vice president over sales of a company based in California called Templock. And I decided to come back here with my dad. And by the time I got back here, I guess I was 8th grade at Bradley Junior, and then on to Bradley. Of course, in those days, the freshman class stayed down at, Bradley Junior.
Yeah, so you was at Bradley Junior.
Yeah.
I was at Cleveland Junior.
Oh, I didn't know
I didn't
that.
go to Bradley till the 10th grade.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was a good school, wasn't it?
It was a good school.
Me and you and Bill McCall.
Yeah.
Remember we used to work out some?
Yeah, we did.
What, about a month?
Yeah. We were real dedicated. Very dedicated.
Very dedicated.
But I remember you very competitive. You really wanted to get in there. And
I really tried.
yeah, you did. You did.
What was the name of that gym?
Was that the Fitness
It's
Factory?
still there.
I think it is. Yeah.
Well, that was a rough place, wasn't it?
It was. We had a good time, though. We didn't know better.
Didn't know. I just remember pieces of that.
Yeah.
But you've been married now 36 years?
36 years, yeah. I met Lori at Bradley. Yeah.
What was her maiden name?
Paz. Yeah. Lori Paz.
36 years. I've been married 30 years.
Yeah.
I guess 30 years.
Yeah. Man, where does it go, right?
And where's it going?
Yeah, where does it go? For sure.
But now you got into the SurfPro. You're like a pretty high up.
Well, I'm director of marketing and business development for 8 territories of SurfPro. SurfPro is a Tennessee-based company out of Gallatin. A lot of people don't realize that. We're a Tennessee-based corporation. Mm-hmm. We are franchise-owned, individually and operated franchises, and our owners, Jeff and Jessica Cuthbertson, are the owners. He started with East Tennessee, or East Chattanooga, I should say. We are technically north, south, East Chattanooga, Bradley County. And a couple years ago, closing in on about 2 years, we took over Oak Ridge, North Knoxville, Northwest, and West. So 4 territories, 2 different owners up there. So, residential, commercial, fire, water, and mold is our main services, but we do a lot of, different biohazard, different things of that nature, duct cleaning, HVAC cleaning. And of course, most people in the community know us, through the courthouse fire that happened years ago. Yeah.
So it's a company based out of, how many, are they in other states?
Oh yeah, 1,700 franchises or more across the country.
And all based out of Tennessee?
Tennessee based. That's world headquarters, Gallatin, Tennessee. And now our offices are based, one in Knoxville, and then we have, we run Bradley County and the Chattanooga territories out of our Ooltewah office there.
How did you get so high ranking?
I don't know. It's something. SurfPro was a company that was a good fit with me. I spent a lot of years in the graphic arts, so it was a real departure from what I had.
Now go back to this graphic arts.
Mm-hmm.
Where was that? What was that doing?
I started in the graphic arts when Lori and I got married with Winton Preston at Preston Graphic Communications. Used to be down here.
You just walked in and said, "I want a job."
I just applied for a job, and
Did you go to college?
I did not.
You just said, "I'm looking for a job."
I just said, "Hey, I want to go to work. I need a job," and I started with their Knoxville plant. That Mr. Preston had, which is the brother of Forrest Preston, older brother of Forrest, who but then I moved down here to the Cleveland plant and kind of worked my way up. Then a company, Graphic Impressions in Chattanooga, offered me a job to come do sales for them, and kind of went to that. Then brokered printing on my own for a while, printing consultants. And then...
What was that, printing consultant?
It was I brokered printing. I would buy from what you would say trade printers and then resold it to the customer. But because of combining, purchasing power and different things like that, I was able a lot of times save the customer money. Mm-hmm. And didn't actually produce any printing. I just, what you would refer to in the industry as a broker. And then went to National Print Group, still in the graphic arts. Now they're part of West Rock, huge, probably the largest printer in the world. Plants in Chattanooga there. Then opportunity came up for SurfPro, and it was, Bradley County was owned by Trish and Steve Brown. Jeff Cuthbertson, our owner now, had yet to purchase them. And then I started with them. Jeff came along.
Did you know them prior?
I did not. The job came, the way that position came through was somehow they knew Bill Winters, Bill. And my name kind of came up and said, who would be good for, marketing, sales, position like that. And I just loved it mainly because we get to help a lot of people. People ask me what we do. We're a restoration company, but ultimately we put lives back together and get people back to work, and restore buildings and homes. And so, and we're a very community-driven company. So that's one thing I really liked about SurfPro.
So they, now when you get a call, I mean, SurfPro is it's mostly insurance stuff, right?
It is a lot of insurance, but it can also be self-pay as well. A lot of things are not necessarily covered, by insurance. Insurance is looking for sudden, unexpected loss, instant loss, versus, say, a maintenance issue that's kind of going on for a while. A lot of people don't have mold coverage, so a lot of times that's a self-pay issue. And so there can be questions about coverage. It's not always, taken up by insurance.
Most of the insurance policies that I've got say does not cover mold.
Yeah, a lot of them don't. Very few people have mold coverage, and that can even be limited.
And you'd almost have to ask for it to get it.
Yeah. If they'll, if that particular company will write it.
Yeah. Well, if they don't even write it.
Yeah, then,
Have you become real familiar with the insurance policies since you've been in this business?
Insurance companies, yeah. You do.
So you never did go spread plastic over somebody's living room. You kind of jumped above that or past that or went into different...
Yeah, I was always in the marketing sales part of it. Yeah, I was never in what in our industry we refer to as production, the production teams. We have a construction team as well that, will put the building or the house back, and work with the claim.
And that's for what region? For this region?
Yeah, for all of Chattanooga, Bradley County, and then the Knoxville territories. But
boy, that's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah. We have a great team in Knoxville as well. Have a great team.
How big is that team to handle all that?
I'm not sure how many we have up in Knoxville. I'm not sure of our employee count right now.
It's like 20, 50?
No, we're probably all company franchise-wide, probably 100 or so, close to that.
Golly.
Yeah.
That's hard to manage all that.
Yeah, but we got some good people.
And you're over all of that or over the marketing?
I'm over all of marketing and our business development team. Yeah, the folks that go out and, work with our commercial accounts, which I do a lot of that. I work with a lot of the life cares and the kind of on the corporate level.
But when I'm around and I hear people say, "Oh, we called SurfPro," they said, "Yeah, we talked to Jeff Gregory." Is that only because they know you, or is that your job in it?
Yeah, it's my job to be known and for people to know the brand. And we are the leading restoration company.
I don't know of another one.
Yeah, you see us on Fox a lot of national advertising. We try to take our message, straight to the customer. Yeah.
So somebody has an immediate water lake, they call SurfPro.
I hope so.
And then, and then what they call the local number or the?
They could call 1-800-SurfPro, and then the first thing they'll ask is, what zip code is your loss in, and then they'll dispatch it out to that.
Because there's a person in charge of that area.
Yeah.
Who's that around here?
As far as we own the rights to Chattanooga, Bradley, and those in Knoxville. Now there's a South Knoxville as well. That's totally different owner, and we have a great relationship with them. The neat thing about SurfPro is, though, if our relationship and some of my relationships have taken us, outside our territory, we can go if we're invited. So we just can't actively market into another SurfPro's area.
But really, you're just putting it back the way it was.
That's what we're trying to do.
There's no big magic to it. Just put it back the way it was.
Yeah, our saying is like it never even happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, when people have a problem on their house or their business like that, it's very disturbing to them.
It's a traumatic experience. I will tell you this, not long after joining SurfPro, I had my own water loss. Woke up on a Sunday morning and I'm like, do I hear like water cascading? My wife and youngest son, Justin, was in Gatlinburg. And I thought, what is going on? I step out of my bedroom, water's coming down the hallway. And my ice maker valve had blown out.
A 30-cent valve.
Yeah, just kept pumping water. And I thought, one of the culprits is an ice maker line. That'll get a lot of houses. That ice maker line will split and leak or whatever. And I thought, and I could hear it running. And I cut it off, and then I go, why is water coming out of the refrigerator and, everything? And is the valve just pump water all through the night? $15,000 in damage.
God.
Yeah.
For a 50-cent valve.
Yeah.
But that happens a lot.
It does.
It's nobody's fault. It just happens.
It just happens. It's accidental. I mean, hot water heaters burst, and, we tell people, if you're going to be away for a while, cut the water off. And that, especially in cold weather, because we coming up on cold weather and a lot of pipes will burst. And
I built a building for a guy, a doctor in town, and he insisted on a valve at the back door where you turn off the light to turn off the water.
Yeah.
I thought, boy, that's a good idea. Turn
a
off
bad
the light and turn off the water.
Yeah. And it never fails. And these losses happen at the worst possible time. I mean, mine was early morning hours.
Yeah.
I think of the courthouse fire, that was on a Saturday morning. I was at the golf course when I got that call. It was like from emergency management, hey, the courthouse has had a fire. I was like, oh.
Which golf course?
I think at that time was at Ridgewood.
Where's that at?
That's up in toward Athens up through there. Yeah.
You a big golfer?
I love to golf. Yeah, golf at it.
Once a week?
I usually will play once or twice a week if I can. And
you walk or ride?
I ride. I should be walking, but I ride.
You play with the same people?
Most of the time. Kind of got a group that we play with, but sometimes we'll mix it up,
You play like every Saturday?
I did before I injured my arm.
Yeah.
And I still play some. It's amazing that motion doesn't hurt my arm, but just to raise it up or something, does.
Everybody'd think you was making that up, but that's true. It's a
true.
downward swing.
Yeah, that rotation doesn't hurt for some reason. Now I might be sore and pay for it.
What is it about golf you like?
I think kind of like we was talking about, just getting away. Sometimes just that distraction, trying to, and I played some sports in school, and golf is challenging because it really, you don't necessarily have to be a great athlete to be a good golfer, and it's just a challenge to it, but just to get away,
It's the hobby, don't you think?
Yeah,
Would it matter if it was that, or I always use the analogy, what if you, instead of being golfing, or I ride bicycles. Some people.
Oh yeah.
Some people work out with weights.
I mean,
what if
great.
you just played ping pong?
Yeah.
And you met a group every
Sure.
Saturday at noon,
Sure.
and you played ping pong.
Oh.
It wouldn't matter, would it?
Wouldn't matter. Just that distraction, getting away, it relieves a lot of stress for me.
And you have to have somebody with you, because if you went out and played golf on Saturdays by yourself, you'd eventually stop going, right?
Probably would. Yeah.
I mean, it's a matter of they think I'm going to be there. We'll bet 50 cents a hole, whatever.
Yeah. I play a lot with my wife's stepfather, Ray Hughes Jr., and he's different groups that we play with. Even Bill Winters, we've been out on the golf course with Bill. And
is he a good golfer?
Bill, he didn't. I don't think he gets to play as much as he'd like, but and played here a while back with Ray and Dr. Ken Beard, so some of his friends and just different groups. And
you like Athens better than the country club or Chatta Valley?
I like them all. I like Chatta, like the country club. I've played them all.
Do you say, but you generally play in Athens?
I'm a member at Ridgewood, was a member at Chatta, and through some friends, been out to Country Club. You can't beat the Country Club. That's a beautiful course, you know.
You ever played at the par 3 out on Ottawa Ringo Road? And I used to play it some, and I don't even know if they have any, but it was a par 3.
Yeah. It probably was years ago, maybe went out there with a friend. Of course, you know, Gary Davis took over the Waterville course. And, you know, that he's really turned that around, that Falcon Point.
Why did they change the name of that? I mean, why not just call it Waterville Golf Course?
I don't know. I know if he just wanted something, just a change, or I never asked Gary that. But that is the change out there. He's turned that golf course around. I've played out there some.
You know, having a hobby that you've got to attend really does help.
Yeah.
It's almost, I think that's a lot of the things about church. It's every Sunday morning. You go, you reset your mental clock.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things like that reset your mind that's got to be helpful.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't, what would you do? Just sit around and worry?
I think you would. I mean, for me, I have to have something that just gets that stress off of me. You know, whether out on the river, you know, love to boat still and ski, and just being around the water. I have to have something to relax you. You've got to have that time to, I think, just wind down.
But sometimes you think, if I don't go out and do this, I can solve that problem I've got. So that's hard to do when you're real busy.
It is. And in our business, we're 24/7. So, you know.
The doors aren't locked.
The doors are never locked. We get calls all through the night, you know. And, I got calls. I don't tell people I'm going on vacation. That's not an option for me, just to cut the phone off, because we may have to provide emergency services to our customers in the middle of the night or whatever.
So you may get a call at 2 in the morning?
Hey, absolutely.
Like 3 nights a week?
Oh, it could be 3 nights a week. It could, you know, when the tornadoes hit, we're still moving people back from that damage, you know, where we go in, took their contents, because in a fire or a tornado, we'll come and inventory everything in the house, take those contents, pack them out.
You have to inventory.
We have to inventory.
I didn't think of that as being a thing.
Till that home's built back again, you know, which could take some time. By the time you go through the insurance process and the build back.
It could take a year.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I had a friend of mine that had his house damaged in the tornado. This was the one several years back. And he said, Dee, you don't know how traumatizing that's been on me. He said, we're not over it yet. And that was 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was a horrible event. I had, you know, seen pictures and documentaries of damage, but to see it up close and trees piled as high as the houses, to see that firsthand, that damage, especially along in the Chattanooga area, you know, the subdivision Legends, we packed out probably 5 homes in there.
Where do you take the stuff?
We have it, we store it.
You have it like a warehouse?
Yeah, we have several buildings just dedicated. Our second building in about 3 years. Our one building is around 50,000 square feet. And so a lot of that square footage is, you know, climate controlled, you know, storage. We can stack.
Well, you section it off and say this is this address, these people, and this is.
We put everything in these huge crates and mark it, wrap it up, you know, store it. We can move the rooms around in crates, and we've got a kind of a whole system that we go through. And when it's time to move that house back, we load it up and, you know, take it back. Our teams take it back just like the movers.
Now every now and then somebody will call me with the water damage, and I go out there and we get it okay and we fix it up and they bill the insurance or come. But I don't do any of that stuff.
Right.
And that's needed.
Yeah. And we work with, you know, your insurance company, the adjuster, the process, the claims process, and we work through all that, helping get approvals to do what we need to do. There's kind of a two-phase, you've got the mitigation side of it, what needs to be demoed, the affected materials, demo it out, and then dry everything out, clean it, need be, and then you've got the rebuild. So you kind of have two parts.
And then bring stuff back in.
Yeah, if it needs a pack out. Yeah, and if it's usually a fire or, heavily damaged in a tornado or other, even a water loss, though, can result in a pack out because we start having to tear up hardwood floor in a whole house or something, or a business.
And you almost want to, because they'll say that it got dust in it while y'all are fixing it up, or something like that.
Or
you just want to get it out of there.
Yeah, what happens nowadays, a lot of insurance companies, it's hard to, try to match floors, as being in construction.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they just rip it all out, and replace it.
And some people will say that hardwood floor will level out in 6 months. It never fails. Anytime you build a house that has, putting hardwood floor in a kitchen is probably one of the dumbest things, because you're going to have a leak.
Probably.
And you may not even know it. It may be. Have you ever noticed hardwood floors? If you put water on top of it, if it's finished on the job, it won't soak through the cracks, and it don't really do any damage.
Yeah.
But if you have pre-finished, it'll go right through the cracks,
Yeah.
and then pops it right up.
Yeah.
But
Gets
then-
up under it. Yeah.
And then it'll curl.
Yeah. Cup or buck on you. Yeah.
And then you can wait. A lot of times I go to people's houses, and I'm thinking they've either got a leaking refrigerator that's going under there now, or they did.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, the other thing, with so much rain that we've had, a lot of people are dealing with water in their crawl spaces. And then that moisture just wicks up into the subfloor, and then all of a sudden that's one of the first signs they see is they notice that their floor is cupping or bucking.
Or spreading.
Yeah. Separating. Yeah, absolutely.
Do y'all do any encapsulating, or is that's a whole nother thing, isn't it?
Yeah, we can. We don't put in the system that, as far as the drying, but we can set dehues, put in vapor barriers out. I'm glad you brought that up, because that is one of our things that we do. And
what about the crawl spaces that are that high?
We send the small guys in. We send the smaller guys in. That's not really a joke. We'll ask people, we call in, it's like, is this a very confined space?
Yeah.
How big is the opening? But yeah.
Do building on a slab is becoming more the thing.
Yes.
Of course, in Southeast Tennessee, if you had a whole subdivision of houses on a crawl space, but one was on a slab, it looks a little lower.
Yeah.
It's just got a different look.
It does.
But if the whole subdivision's on a slab, then it's, whenever I do houses that are on a slab, I go ahead and raise them up to the same elevation, pretty close to the other houses.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just 4 more loads of gravel.
Right.
But you don't have that look.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But then you've got the problem of, even a crawl space even has the 14-inch band, or floor joist. So now you got problems backfilling the house, because you're supposed to be 6 inches, so it gets complicated.
Yeah, I never thought it. Yeah, you're right. From the construction standpoint.
I often wonder if years from now, if people will shy away from houses that are built on crawl spaces.
It's possible. Think of where I just came back from vacation. Everything's on a slab in Florida.
If you built it on a crawl space, they'd think you're crazy over
Yeah.
They'd think you're building a tree house.
You wanted a crawl space. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no doubt.
Even the name's crazy, a crawl space.
Yeah.
Why you have it?
Yeah. But it's funny, we build houses very close to the ground, and it can be done. You just need vapor barrier and, keep it dry, maintain it.
Keep the water away. Of course, around here we got a high water table.
Yeah.
You can have all the water running away from it. And we always put the gutters and gutter drains and all that stuff. But still, you can have a high water table that can come up to the crawl space.
we notice it more and more people having issues than when I first got into this business.
Are they just noticing it, or?
I think the rainfall that we've had, last year was one of the worst on record, and just the rain that we're having and things of that nature, I think it's just, we didn't build houses years ago with having to deal with that much rainfall.
And I don't think people worried about water under their house.
They don't think
years
about
ago.
it till it causes a problem, and or they're ready to sell it. And we work with a lot of realtors too, because that can be a sticking point. They have the home inspection. I'm trying to encourage many of them to maybe come in and let us have a look first.
Yeah.
And then that word, the M word, gets mentioned.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, we got a problem. We close in a matter of 7 to 10 days. We got to do something.
I've also noticed on those home inspections, they'll say, possible water in the crawl space, check with a professional.
Yeah.
Well, why don't they just check with a professional to see if it's a problem, rather than this guy that supposedly doesn't know anything about it because he's done said that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So why even have him look at it?
Yeah. And of course, he's trying to identify other problems as well, in the home construction.
But why even mention it if he doesn't know anything about it?
Right.
If he's not an expert.
Yeah, I guess he's just trying to, say, hey, you need to get some advice in this area.
But it scares people if they don't have a
It
problem.
does.
They really should have somebody that really knows to look at it. Of course, who's to ever say? You'd almost have to be under there while it's raining.
Yeah, in some cases, and the challenge in that is what leads to it is going to be mold, and you got to make sure the real problem is fixed, whether that's either a roof leak or a foundation leak. You got to fix the real problem because the mold is the symptom.
Where'd you learn all this stuff?
Just over time and training. Even though I'm in business development, we have the Institute of Cleaning Restoration certification. I'm ICRC certified. I'm a CE instructor for, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama to teach our CE classes for agents and realtors as well.
What do you do about mold paint or lead-based paint?
Lead-based paint, and we deal with asbestos. That's a good point.
Yeah.
We deal with asbestos in a residential home. If that was built prior to 81, we have to have it checked out. And in a commercial property, we have to have it checked out no matter what, because commercial is governed differently, and some people don't understand that, but that is OSHA and TOSHA laws, and have to deal with it. But it have to be, if it's identified, it has to be abated. If you're going to disturb it.
If you're going to sand it, if you sand it.
Exactly. As long as if you're going to do something to demo it out, sand it, anything that gets those fibers in the air, you gotta have it checked out. And of course, if it has it, if it doesn't, you're clear, you're good to go. But if it has it, then it'll have to be abated. Yeah.
I've had houses. I bought an old house here a while back that I was going to demo. So I was going to send the dozer man. I said, hey, let's unhook all the water and power. And he said, reckon there's any asbestos? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I had a guy from Chattanooga, Ed Wade. I don't know if you know Ed Wade. They do some environmental abatement thing.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of his company, but I always call him. So he comes down and they abated it for. It was cheap. I mean, it was, it was like $3,000 or something. It wasn't a big deal.
Right. Yeah.
Then we felt safe in demoing.
Yeah.
But now, if something was built prior to 57, they didn't have asbestos, really.
Probably under the law, you would still have to, get it checked out.
Because now, years ago, I was renovating these people's duplex, and they had bought it, and I thought, boy, I'm glad this doesn't have any asbestos. And there was another layer of flooring under the kitchen that was asbestos.
Happens to us
because
all
there was those square tiles that are 6 inches rather than 12.
Yes,
Never
absolutely.
fails.
It never fails.
And that was a bad week.
That happens to us a lot of times. We go to demo, the homeowner just may not know what's up under there. and then we get to that layer of vinyl or tile or whatever, and it may not be in the vinyl, it could be in the mastic.
I had that. I've had that with the drywall. It wasn't the drywall, it was the
mudding.
The mudding.
That's where we find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent point. Rarely we find it in the drywall, it's in the joint compound. That's where we test it.
Where do you have to take? So y'all do your own? Y'all do abatement?
We have a company, Southeast Environmental, that we use, and they'll go in, take our samples. They have to work around our schedule. It's difficult with us. We could have been in the home at 2 in the morning that morning, and then need samples taken to keep the job moving. And so they're good about getting out, taking the samples, and then that goes to a lab and testing. Just like we'll do air sample testing for mold as well.
I've had that done. I remember one time I drove way down to Georgia to take a sample myself because we were in such a hurry and they couldn't get it. So I just drove it down there and had them test it there.
Yeah.
And then I've had that mold where they come and set those little fans in the basement and check, and you're not supposed to open the door.
Right. Yeah, as ozoning and certain cleaning antimicrobials that we'll use to take care of that situation. And depending on what we're using, mold's a very difficult thing to deal with because you're looking at normal levels, slightly elevated, and highly elevated. And what happens with that is there's no CDC levels out there that is identified that if it gets to this level, everybody gets sick. Because, as human beings, I have certain conditions, you may have certain conditions, compromised, immune system, things of that nature. So everybody's affected differently. So typically the youth and the elderly are the ones going to be most prone to reactions. But there's a handful of mold out there, different species. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of species of mold. There's a handful of them. If they get into high levels, it can create reactions in people. And of course, the very dangerous one is the so-called deadly black mold, Stachybotrys, which is the one that I don't care who you are, you're going to get sick. And that's a very dangerous
What happens to you when you get sick?
You can just have horrible, allergic respiratory issues, things of that nature.
Can you get over it?
You can get over it, but in some cases it could kill people. So, long-term exposure. But there's certain ways to handle that and remediate different things like that. A room would have to be put in, when we go in to remediate, we're going to put that room under negative pressure, which means we're going to exhaust everything out, from the room, pull it all down outside with different filters and different things like that to remediate, clean, or demo any affected drywall. So once it gets in porous materials and things, you got to be really careful. It's something that, you just have to be very careful and know what you're dealing with. But we have a lot of businesses and municipalities and school systems test and go through that, figure out what's going on in the game plan.
Boy.
Yeah.
How many, do you go to all of these? You don't go to all these jobs, right? Obviously.
I don't go to all of them. Now, our, key commercial accounts and, what we would refer to as COIs, our centers of influence, customers.
Yeah.
I try to stay very close to the projects like that, larger projects and things like that I'm involved in.
So you may go to 5 jobs tomorrow?
Nah, it just really depends on the schedule. But if we've got a big commercial loss or something like that, it's possible I may eventually get by there and see how that job's going, check on the customers, make sure,
But you've got a man on the ground.
We have our whole...
You're in contact with them.
The way our system works is we have an operations manager, a production manager, crew chief, and then crews under them. And once we get, the building stabilized, extract water, say in a water loss, and begin to dry things out, a lot of times we're monitoring the equipment to make sure we get to those drying goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then those drying logs have to be submitted to insurance.
Golly.
Ask why we use this and that, and why did it take this long. You know, we had a medical practice here a while back that had a water. Well, it was a medical professional building, and it happened on the 3rd floor. Went all the way down to the 1st floor. Well, these were all medical practices that had to keep going, see their patients.
Yeah.
So that equipment had to be broken down at close of day, brought back before that practice opens back up, and set that equipment back up, through the night, and then break it down in the morning before their patients got there.
That's expensive.
It's expensive. And then, insurance wants to know, well, why did it take 9 days versus
7.5.
4 or 5 or whatever. And so you just work through all that, with the insurance. Hopefully. It's getting harder and harder.
Wonder why that is. Now, I've noticed that some of these jobs, these insurance jobs that I've got, they literally almost count the nails that it would take you to do that.
Yeah.
And these guys on the job, they're reaching for nails and dropping 3.
Yeah, yeah.
And now you can either have them count the nails and spend more money having them count them, or you can lose 2 or 3 nails.
Exactly.
But these insurance jobs, there's no wiggle room. I mean, it's just, that's what the book says it takes you, and that's what it takes you.
Well, insurance works within a program called Xactimate.
I've seen that.
It's a national estimating program that is broken down in a regional sense to how much you should be able to replace and get the work done, so to speak. Now, the little things in that is like when we had the tornadoes, you've got so much damage, and construction people, plumbers, electrician, drywall people, so strapped with work that you can't find anybody to do the work. And so, and then at that, they may want a premium. And that's where our construction team helps out, because we work within an Xactimate estimate, which is, that's all our pricing comes from. Now, we may have some time and materials when it gets into a job like the courthouse, but we work within that Xactimate, same estimating program that the adjuster works in. And then it's just kind of communicating back and forth over, what really needs to be done, and helping insurance understand why you're having to do certain things.
Well, they can either deal with somebody like you that's got this down to a science, or somebody like me that's not really into the insurance type jobs.
Yeah. And that's difficult when somebody tries to go it alone, dealing with insurance and the adjuster, that language, that estimating. That's where a lot of people kind of get in trouble.
You're almost free. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It's going to cost that anyway.
Yeah, it's going to cost that anyway. Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've heard that saying a lot. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I always, at times, I think, not just on this, but on every. I heard a guy this morning on TV said, "Well, it is what it is." What does that mean? It is what it is. I mean, are we supposed to accept it because it is what it is? Or are we supposed to change it, or just accept it, or what? I don't know.
Yeah, just deal with it the best we can, I guess, and manage.
You got this down to a fluid thing, like we'll work it out and we'll go through the process and everybody will be happy in the end, but let's go through this process, this exact process. But in construction, it's organized chaos.
Yeah. And that's a good word. I use that all the time. We work in chaos.
Chaos.
And even our business, I may have a plan of what I want to do Monday, and that call comes in at 7 in the morning. Had that happen out at a plant, one of our manufacturers, 6:30 one Thursday morning. They had a massive water loss or fire or whatever the case may be, and off you go, and your day is just totally. You know how that goes, right? You know how that goes.
It's maddening.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we end this sort of stuff?
I don't. Yeah. What did we do to deserve
I don't
that?
know. And what was the punishment?
Yeah. I love it.
Because we're organized people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's kind of like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yet we're in a business that's not organized.
That's right. It's not. Changes all the time. I mean,
You think subconsciously that we levitate towards the chaos things so we can organize them? Or do people get us because we can handle it?
I think because we can handle it, and I think you and I have always wanted to help people.
We want to help.
Right.
Yeah, I want to help.
Help people. And that's, what SurfPro allows us to do, whether it's community involvement in a golf tournament or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. We have burgers and badges that we help sponsor with cooks, and Life Care coming up next week on the 30th, and with blood assurance, blood drive, and just getting to help and sponsor things and work with people and get people's lives back together. I think it's just that to me is what our brand really tries to do.
Why is that you've ended up in this industry rather than just staying with the graphics?
I don't know. Just I guess the way things turn out.
Is it maybe this whole thing about life is actually more organized than we think?
It could be. I believe in open doors and opportunities, and maybe God's will for your life.
So maybe it's not anything we do that really affects it. Maybe it's going to happen the way it happens, the way it unravels anyway.
Yeah.
You ever wonder that? I wonder if all this effort we do is really any different, or if it was going to just unravel that way anyway.
Yeah, if it comes out in the wash,
it's like holding the sea out.
Yeah.
Or the tide out. You can do whatever you want to, but it's coming in.
Yeah. You just try to deal with it, manage expectations for the customer, and and most of them are great. You know how it is in business. Most people are fantastic, but you may have those one or few that are a little bit of a challenge.
Well, and on my end, I'm building a building for somebody. I think, well, I'm building their building. But to them, they're going to pay for that for 20 or 30 years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's a real big deal to them.
It's a big deal.
And to me, it's just a job. So they can get more dramatic about it and see it in a different way than I'm seeing it.
Oh, yeah, they're totally invested in you. You think you're working in somebody's home and things of that. I mean, there's nothing more personal.
Nothing more personal.
Yeah, nothing more
You're working in their bedroom, in their master bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy come to me, or the guy that fixes my computers. I'm probably asking dumb questions to him, and he just keeps on working. And I thought to myself, am I doing to him what customers do to me? Because I don't know anything about that, and they don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
I think, well, goes like this.
Yeah.
They don't know that.
Right.
So maybe we need to give, almost like you need to instruct them what you're doing every minute so that they can understand it.
Well, you bring up a good point, because communication is the key, and like I say, setting expectations. We try to let our customers know, that, hey, we're going to set a lot of air movers in here and dehumidifications. We're going to heat up the house. There's going to be a lot of noise going on. There's things that are going to be, happening. Mm-hmm. People in and out of your house, monitoring equipment. But it gets better day by day. It gets better day by day. And so sometimes just letting them know that. I think what happens in business a lot of times, and especially, with us at SurfPro, we use a lot of, like I say, COIs and COS, and we have all these things that we use. And sometimes we have to stop ourselves and say we have to speak in layman's terms or the customer's language. And I think that's what gets lost sometimes. We get so caught up
And
in our
acronyms
and our business and everything. We have to stop and go, wait a minute. Because how many people you know has ever had a fire? And, they've never experienced that before. And we walk into it, we see it every day. We see light fixtures melted down. And I never will forget one of my first fires I went on. I thought, that's a funny looking light, kind of this big glob. It was a ceiling fan that had just been melted down from the heat. And, and you just think, wow, and then you see it every day. But it's different when it's your property and, they're experiencing it for the first time ever and may never experience it again.
That may be why some of these doctors, you think they don't have good bedside manner. They come in and say something. You say, "Oh man, I've got that," and they're thinking, "Well, I see it all the time."
That's right. They see emergency after emergency.
So, maybe in all business, we need bedside manner.
I do agree. Yeah, I think, and what's hard for our guys is we push them 24/7. We have on-call crews. And so, those folks could have been working through the night. We even have a bunkhouse at our building to where if they've been out late on a job and don't want to go home, they can shower and sleep right there and back up the next day. So we're a tough business, which makes it harder to, keep employees.
You couldn't hardly replicate that business if you started out from the ground up, could you?
Yeah, it'd be tough. All the investment you have to have, equipment, things of that nature, fleet of vehicles. Yeah, it's and we've tried to build our owner Jeff Cuthbertson. Like I say, one of the plans for our building, which is a state of the art, very modern. We did that to recruit the best people, and we believe in that. SurfPro is, training is a key for us and training our people.
It's a whole nother thing besides construction. It's a whole nother thing.
Mm-hmm. In construction, in your business, it's different. We talk about the rainy weather and delays and things and the frustration and the deadlines. It's just a different problem.
It's different. It's
a different problem. That's all it is, yeah. No doubt.
But business it's pretty much all the same sort of issues. And it's all, you got to take care of the customer because you already got them.
That's right.
You're wanting the one that they're going to get you.
Yeah. We believe, referrals and things of that nature. That's how you got a lot of your customers. You did work for one person.
I got them all but the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everyone after that was referral.
That's right. And that's a big obligation because somebody gave your name to someone else, and that's how we feel at SurfPro. It's like, hey, we see it all the time. We have a very transparent system when leads or calls come in. That's emailed out to the company, and I see those, so I know who's, calling in, I get a lot of direct calls from our commercial clients, and we see that, and it's like sometimes you're like, neighbor referred SurfPro. And that's a heavy obligation. Somebody else put your name out there and entrusted you to do the right thing for a family or friend.
There's nothing worse than referring somebody and they don't do a good job. Because I've done it before, hadn't you?
Yes.
So, you need to call this.
Yeah.
I had a guy text me before you came in and said, who's a good painter?
Yeah.
You have to have management with the good painter even.
Yeah.
Because they're not doing what I'm doing, they're just painting.
Yeah.
So if you're not telling him what you want, you'd think he's a bad painter.
Yeah.
But he's just painting.
That's right. And, we get a lot of calls. I get a lot of calls from my customers, especially commercial clients. Jeff, I don't know if you do this or not, how the calls start.
Yeah.
But we need help in this area and this area. And so you try to help them. It may not lead to any job or whatever, but you're just trying to help them out.
How about those that you say, well, I don't have time, but I'll come and look at it, and 2 weeks later you're doing it?
Yeah, we have those. Yeah. Let's come by and take a look. Could be more going on.
Yeah.
And then it could be just panic, and people react in different ways. We get calls sometimes that hey, we're flooded over here. And, you know, like you say, we see things every day.
Yeah.
You walk in, not that bad.
I've got a leak out here in the sunroom. It's been leaking for 2 months. I don't have time to fix it.
Yeah.
And I know it's not going to hurt anything. But somebody else might look at it and say, and panic.
Yeah.
That's where they're at.
Yeah, that's where they're at. So you just have to deal with them on that level and, you know, coach them through it. Yeah.
So do you get you have to talk to their insurance companies a lot?
Sometimes I get involved in it. Usually our project managers and our.
I mean, you not only have to get their job, but you have to figure out how to get them to be able to pay you.
Yeah. Yeah, in some cases, you know, we have to deal with insurance, and that can get complicated because you can have, as you know, you've built buildings for a building owner, but the tenants don't own the building, so you may have to deal with that insurance, the building owner's insurance,
yeah.
and so our commercial claims can get a little complicated sometimes.
Yeah, like if you're in a plaza and they're in charge
Sure.
of the build out,
Yeah.
but the plaza has the insurance,
That's right.
you got to dissect which one's this on. And then they
Absolutely.
get arguing about, well, this was the roof, no,
Yeah.
this was the wall.
Yeah, and then you know, there's a term called subrogation. That insurance will subrogate against maybe the insurance that
Yeah.
caused the damage. A lot of people don't understand, well, why do I have to file a claim? You know, the leak came from up here or out there. And so, yeah, it's you know, you just have to educate people and walk them through the process.
So segregating means they're going to go ahead and cover it, but they may go after them.
They'll cover it, yeah. Yeah, they'll cover your damage, but they may go after the one that caused it. Yeah.
What about, you sometimes put them in a motel, or is that the insurance thing?
Insurance typically does that, yeah. A lot of people end up in temporary housing, you know, which was tough. You know, as you know, housing's tight here in this area, temporary housing, rentals. So, yeah, they may do that or a hotel.
And they're not needing it for 6 months. They may just be who you going to get to rent it to them for a month?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, some of those with a fire or things of that nature are probably insurance is going to find temporary housing for them because they know it's going to be a process.
They think it's going to be 6 months and it's going to be a year.
Yeah, it could be a year. You know, when you build, you just don't know.
They could take 2 weeks to decide what kind of faucet they want.
And hopefully they remember they took those 2 weeks.
And hopefully they'll remember that they told you what faucets they want.
Exactly, yeah.
So what else is going on?
Well, we, you know, in the SurfPro world, I kind of mentioned the burgers and badges that we are a sponsor of. That's going to take place Thursday on the 30th.
In Cleveland
at
or where?
Cook's Food Store. Yeah, so Blood Assurance will have buses set up, and it's a blood drive. The way we do that is you can come and give on behalf of the different agencies, from the Cleveland Fire Department to the Sheriff's Department, Emergency Management, Bradley County, you know, Fire and Rescue, so forth. And that was something that was started back with Dr. Seymour in Cleveland State in a way to honor our first responders years ago. And then they decided to shift to other different events. Blood Assurance kind of picked this up. And years ago, we were kind of invited into it with Alvin Word, who's a fellow Sunrise Rotarian of mine. And so we got involved. That fits great with us because we support a lot of our first responders because we kind of, you know, hand in hand with that. And so in 2019, we teamed up with Blood Assurance and became the National Blood Drive Event of the Year. Had close to 400 people come out and donate blood. So when they gave blood, they said, I'm doing this on behalf of the Sheriff's Department or whatever. And so that's the money, the sponsorship money is divided up among first, second, third place. And I think in 2019, maybe Bradley Fire and Rescue won the top 2 money prizes, and they can use that funding for whatever they need it for. And then I think maybe the Cleveland Fire Department got the third
So they
place.
donate the blood. The public donates the blood.
Public donates the blood.
They do the drive, and y'all provide the prize.
Yeah, we have the sponsorship money, and then that goes back to the agency. So it's a way to help. It's a way to to recognize our first responders. It's a way to put some money in that agency's hand. Plus, there'll be a drive-through that the burgers and
Who
the food.
provides the burgers?
Cook's one of our great sponsors, been one of the original sponsors.
Well, they make hamburgers?
Yeah, Cook burgers, and the first responders can come through and get a lunch. And whether you're off or on duty, it's going to be a drive-through with COVID this year.
Yeah.
We used to have tables and get to do all that. But the buses and the food, everything will be there at Cook. So if people can call Blood Assurance and get on the list and schedule, we really need people to make appointments for that day. You can go to their office here in Cleveland or the buses, but that's something that we really want to try.
So you'd get so if you gave blood, you'd get a free burger?
The food is for the first responders, but now Blood Assurance does have some shirts and different things for the people that do give blood.
About 2 weeks ago, I was out early for some reason, and I was stuck somewhere, and I just ended up in Cook's Food Store. You know how you get on the phone, next thing you know, you're standing in Cook's Food Store. And so I got one of those. They have breakfast there.
Yeah.
And I got one of those biscuits, and I don't know if I was hungry or what, but that is about the best biscuit I think I'd ever eaten.
They put out some good food. I go in there for lunch sometimes at Cook's.
I mean, I don't know why. It was just, I don't know, but I mean, I'm telling you, it was the best biscuits I've ever. I guess I was hungry. But they got a good lunch.
They have a neat little deli in there.
Yeah, and they got and they got TV. Yeah. Clean bathrooms.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. It's a great little spot in there.
It's way underrated.
It's a well-kept secret, I think.
It really is. Yeah. They got comfortable seats, like I say, TV.
Yeah.
You can go in there and lunch. Where do you eat lunch at?
I eat lunch. I've eaten lunch there at Cook's.
Captain D's. I saw you there.
Yeah, Captain D's. We saw each other there.
That's a good place to eat.
Whatever hits me. I'm out so much, and I eat out so much, traveling and stuff. I just kind of.
I get sick of eating out, don't you? Sometimes
I do.
You ever just want to go home and eat a pimento cheese sandwich?
Yeah.
God. Watch TV and eat some Pringles.
Exactly. Well, we weren't raised. I don't know about you, but didn't eat out like our kids eat out.
I remember it was a big deal going to the Burger Chef that when they first opened it up, the hamburger and it was more of a thing then. Now it's just a
yeah.
But I'd rather just eat at home.
I love good home cooked meals, and Lori's a good cook, so I love it.
Now I work with some guys, and they'll go home for lunch every day, and I think it's not too bad. If you knew you could go every day, that wouldn't be too bad. Just run home and eat.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned my grandfather. He was a Womack, and lunch was cooked every day. You stopped, you went and had lunch, because you were working, especially in the summer into the night, and that good home cooked meal.
Well, they called lunch. Let's see, dinner or was it supper? I get that
dinner and supper, I guess. Yeah.
It was a big deal.
It was.
And breakfast was a big deal. I don't even eat breakfast.
My grandfather, again, up every morning, sausage and biscuit. He had to have his breakfast.
And when did he die, or is he still alive?
He passed away, I believe he was about 74, and I tell you, when it happened, he died during the blizzard.
Because of
a heart attack. Right there in the snow. Died during the blizzard.
Now, your grandmother's 94. Mm-hmm. She lives by herself.
Yeah.
And she eats what?
Yeah, she cooks. Her daughters cook for her.
But I mean, she eats sausage and.
Yeah, just eats. Yeah. The stuff that's not.
And
good
here
for
you are trying to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
It almost makes you wonder if you just ignored it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
maybe right.
Right.
Just go ahead and live.
Just keep eating it, and then we'll find out later it's good for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, she's 94. I got this good friend of mine that's 92, and he's getting married next week.
Hey,
That's
God
the
bless
truth.
him.
That's
God
the
bless
truth.
him, right? Yeah.
That's the
Wow.
truth. She's 90.
What about that? Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know what the secret is.
I don't.
And I don't think anybody else does.
No.
Except it's just in your genes, I guess.
I believe that's a big part of it.
Or is it being happy and ignoring it and just living?
I think being happy, I think it's part of your makeup. Being content, being happy. That's what I've tried to focus in on. Just having good health, especially in a COVID era. Just family with good health and things of that nature. Just being content and happy. Is what I strive for anymore. Things don't seem to mean as much as they used to. When
Don't stress you out.
Yeah.
Did you used to stress?
Oh yeah. Very much.
Give me an example.
Oh, just, gosh, most of them are probably silly things. Just little things that don't mean anything. You learn to pick your battles as you get older. Yeah. Yeah,
Isn't it funny what used to make us? I remember me and my wife got in a big argument one time over who shut the blinds.
Yeah, who cares?
I don't even remember what the thing was, but it was a thing then. It was a big deal.
Oh yeah.
But now it's who cares?
Yeah, silly things.
I just that goes back to the old saying, ignorance is bliss. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just live, man.
Yeah, just live.
Let it happen.
Be happy. Be content.
Do the best you can.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah. And just, be thankful for good health. My parents, my father's grandparents, went through assisted livings. And right now, Lori's dad is in an assisted living at Avail. And, it's just, he had a massive heart attack a couple years ago and suffered vascular dementia. And, man, at 70, turned 75 in the ICU. And, whole world changed. And if you can maintain your health and, be healthy, live a long life, just enjoy life, be content.
Poor Richard's Almanac. You ever read it?
No.
Boy, it's got some good stuff in there.
Does it?
Yeah, good practical stuff. It said he'd known more old drunks than he had old doctors. I think what they mean is that relaxing and not taking everything so serious is has a lot of value.
It does.
I think that's all it was meaning.
Yeah. Just you got to take it easy.
Just take it easy.
Just like I say, getting away and having time off and you're not
having
careful.
the hobby.
Yeah, having a hobby, you can work yourself to death.
But back when we were coming up through the working world, we didn't want to take the time to have it. Well, I'd have never rode a bicycle 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd have thought I was committing a sin.
Yeah. Wasting that time.
I've got to be getting ahead. But looking back, I should have done it.
Yeah.
It would have been more productive. But boy, you can't convince yourself when you're in those battle years, can you?
No. And, I've got two boys. My oldest is Jared. My youngest is Justin. Both go to, Jared graduated Lee a few years back. Justin's at Lee finishing up special education. But my oldest had an opportunity to go to New York, which I don't know if I would have done at, mid-20s. And I said, well, if you're going to do it now, do it while you're young, enjoy it, make the best of it.
Knock yourself out,
knock
man.
yourself
Have a good
out.
time.
And he's doing it, so.
What's he going to do?
He is.
Is that Zach or which one is it?
Jared, my oldest.
And there's two of them, right?
I've got two boys, Jared and Justin.
Justin, yeah.
Yeah. But Jared, my oldest, is up there in New York. My sister and her husband live up there, Jill and John Lombardi, and he's a partner in a big construction firm.
Yeah.
And he would go up and help some in the summer and just love the city. Now he's a rep with United Rentals and has most of Manhattan.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And who's this?
My oldest son, Jared.
Oh, golly.
Yeah. I said, hey, go for it. He had a opportunity. I said, go up there and do it. And
he's just a kid.
Just a kid, but he's crushing it, and I'm blessed, two good boys. Yeah. But I said, go for it. I don't know if I would have done that, in my day and time.
We'd have done it, but we wouldn't have been managing nothing.
Nah, might have been back home sooner, you know. But I don't know. It's a different world. Our kids, you know, get out, travel. My kids have traveled more than I have.
We wouldn't have thought of doing that.
No.
We might have done it for the weekend.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't have moved there.
If it'd been a temporary thing.
Yeah, we wouldn't have moved there.
No.
So he's managing United Rentals?
He's a rep up there for United Rentals and manages most of the Manhattan territory.
Do you think about just a few years ago, you were wondering if he was going to be able to drive home or know how to get home, and now he's in Manhattan.
That's a great view, Dee. Yeah, it's a great view. You think, can this kid get through high school? And then, you know,
4 years later,
just, I mean,
Manhattan.
He's one of the top
I mean, it's
reps.
not like he's going to Etowah.
No. And he's one of the top reps. I mean, it's just amazing. And I'm like, wow, I guess you grow up just like we did, you know.
And you wonder where he learned that.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Is that the same one that used to ride the motorcycle?
No, he was, you know, both of my boys went to Walker Valley. Now, he was an athlete, you know, and football and track and basketball off and on. Justin ran some track as well. But, yeah, you know, I think he has those good social skills which you need to be in customer service and sales.
Do you think we have any influence on our kids, or do you think they just end up the way they end up?
I think you do.
Is it minute?
I don't know. For some, more so than others, but I think you do. Yeah.
See, my kids haven't changed since they're 2 years old.
You don't think so?
They're the same.
Yeah. I tried to, you know, instill honesty and trust and how I was raised. You shake a man's hand, you give him your word, you got to do it. You got to follow
I tell
through.
my boy, mine, I said, hey, no matter what, you crawl to work every day and pay your bills before you buy toilet paper.
Yeah. That's it.
And live with your own decisions.
Live with your decisions. Don't look back. You know.
If you have to live with your decisions, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
If you know you have to live with it. You're more reluctant.
Yeah. But I just tried to. We kept our boys in church, you know, and
that's a big help.
That's a big help, and
because you have other people that's a good influence,
not
just you.
You had that network, that family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
that's a big help.
Tried to keep them, good influence, monitor what they was doing, who they were with. Tried to keep good influences around them, and hopefully, you train them up the way they should go.
Boy, they can take a wrong turn, though, can't they?
They can. Yeah, they can take a wrong turn quick. And it's a different world for them. We had no Facebook back in our day and social media and knowing anything and everything about something or something.
All we did was drive around Hardee's. Did you ever do that?
We cruised Hardee's. We cruised the streets, yeah.
Did you ever cruise Walmart, too? Remember the old Walmart parking lot?
Yeah, I do remember that, yeah. But Hardee's was the hangout, I tell you.
But you weren't no square person yourself.
No, I wasn't. Just ask some of my teachers at Bradley or Dale Hughes. No, I wasn't a model student.
Did you have Dale? He was our principal.
He was our principal.
Did he ever suspend you?
Yeah, I think, what was it, in-school suspension?
I got expelled twice. Couldn't come to school.
You couldn't?
Couldn't come to school twice.
I didn't know that, Dee. I'm learning something.
Yeah, but it wasn't a big deal, really. But do you remember any of the other teachers?
I do. It's funny you ask that. There's a lot of people I've crossed paths with that I forgot, and I don't, not a bad thing, I just don't think about them. But I do think about my teachers a lot.
You ever just driving down the road and for some weird reason you just think of that teacher that you had that you didn't even think about 2 seconds until then, and all of a sudden, oh yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking the other day, you know, because when I got to Bradley Jr., Coach Robinson, Chief was our coach there. And
well, I loved him.
Oh,
Didn't
he's
you?
a great guy, and a great influence on me. I'm so sad, you know, he's not with us anymore.
You know, I played golf with him 2 or 3 times.
Did you?
I had a.
Now he was a hoot.
He was a hoot, and he was a good golfer.
I bet.
And I can't remember why, but we played in some kind of tournaments, and he was always one of the partners in the foursome. He had a real short swing.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. He was an athlete in his day.
He was an athlete. You know, he used to date Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
He always told
He'd tell that story. But I think about my teachers, and, you know, your coaches. I had, you know, Coach Lewis, Coach Jackson, some of those, you know, back. Yeah. And you don't realize it till you're older, just the time commitment, especially in coaching, that they were putting into your life.
And not to mention that teacher that didn't do any coaching, he just had you for an hour, but something about him had a
impact,
and you don't even know what it was.
Yeah, just maybe the way they
taught
their class.
Maybe they just didn't fuss at you.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true, very true. But I think about a lot of them, and we were blessed to have good teachers. I think this community is blessed to have good teachers to this day and good schools.
I don't know about today, but I know then Bradley High School was a great school.
It was.
And it was real easy going. Wasn't a lot of problems. And I just had a good time there. I had Herbert Lackey. Did you ever have him for FFA?
Yeah.
When did you have it?
Well, I didn't have Mr. Lackey, but I had
don't tell me.
I think I had
Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Because I had him too.
The name just totally slipped out of my mind, but I do remember.
I think he died.
You may be right. I do remember Mr. Lackey though.
Oh yeah,
I think he went on to be a principal, didn't he?
Yeah.
One of the
he used to say, "If you listen to me, I'll make something out of you." It wasn't make, it was mech.
Yeah.
But I remember the other guy. Why can't we think of his name? I can see him just like I can see you. But he came in one morning. You know, they didn't have a lot of strict rules.
No.
But he came in one morning, and we were all sitting there, and he said, 2 out of 3 men got up today and hated going to work. You need to decide today what you're going to do so you're not 2 of the 3 men. And he walked out of the room, and that was the lesson for the day.
And you never forgot that?
I never forgot that to this day.
What about that? Wow.
What was his name?
Gosh.
I remember what he said and don't even remember his name.
I know it. That's,
Ledford.
Mr. Ledford. That's it, exactly.
That was him.
Yeah.
He was a good guy.
He was a great guy. He was.
And what did he do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you put your finger on it?
I think he was just a good guy, and you notice that. You know, I do.
I mean, he wasn't going to give you detention or nothing, or was he?
No.
No, he was just a good guy.
Easy going and.
Was it? It wasn't I can't remember his name. Golly. So I don't know. We never know what influences us, you know, over time, or if anything does.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was going to end up the same way.
Yeah. So you would believe kind of in destiny,
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was it on the end of Forrest Gump? They asked him that question.
Yeah.
He said, "I don't know if it's destiny or not." He said, "I don't know."
Yeah.
But one thing about it, it's not over, is it?
It's not over.
I'm ready to go, aren't you? I mean, I'm ready to go out and fight another battle. And keep going, man. I'm ready to live.
Yeah. Keep growing. Keep going. Just get after it. Yeah.
I mean, you got to be enthusiastic and excited, right?
You do.
You got to be excited about something.
And when you lead a team, you got to, you have to transfer that energy and that excitement to that team,
Sometimes do you find yourself almost creating a situation where you have to have a charge?
Yeah, I think, there's times that you got to sit back and motivate people, especially in sales and business development. I think you have to constantly find ways to keep yourself motivated.
I find myself sometimes making stuff up to motivate myself. It works the same.
Yeah. Whatever presses that button.
Whatever it does.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you have to stay excited. Is your grandmother at 94, is she excited?
Yeah, she doesn't get around like she used to, but she still has her same spirit, I guess you could say, sense of humor. That's never changed.
She positive about the
Positive
future?
about things, yeah. Likes to have a good time. Up until a few years ago, she had a mini stroke. She's still driving square dancing.
Where do you square dance at 92 years old?
Somewhere up in Athens. I'm not sure where they went.
Looking for men?
But yeah. I tell you. Oh, yeah. That's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show. Thanks for coming, Jeff. I always like talking to you.
Same here.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.